Portland has so many great options for a fun summer bike adventure, it can be overwhelming picking the perfect weekend trip. There's also just more to consider than simply planning a route if you want to get the most out of your outings. For example, what are the snack options, or what else is there to do once you reach your destination? So today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with Jenna Phillips, or as most Portlanders know her, Jenna Bikes. She's a local bike advocate, vlogger, new mom, and one of my favorite TikTok creators who documents her daily commutes and longer rides. Jenna is here sharing her best summer biking trips and tips so you can get out there and enjoy the last bit of our warm, non-rainy season. It's Wednesday, August 14th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. You know, I'm really stoked that you're here because I watch your videos and I'm a big fan.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's a silly little thing what I gotta do, and I feel like it's brought me so much community as a unintended result, which is really cool.
Well, let's talk about summer bike adventures. First off, do you have like an essential biking gear list?
I think the thing about Portland is you're always a stone's throw away from a bike shop or a bus that can get you to a bike shop. So thinking about that as you pack your gear, I always like to bring credit card and ID because you never know when you're wanting to stop for a little snack, a little treat. Very important. Portland has a lot of public bathrooms, not a lot of hand sanitizer is stocked, so I always bring a little hand sanitizer with me, which seems like something that you wouldn't need for biking, but it's a necessity. I always carry a little multi-tool, and it's called Little Ratchet, and it's tiny, approachable. I feel like I can fix things myself, even though I have, longer nails, which is a win. And I always carry a patch kit and a spare tube and a pump. Do I know how to fix a flat myself? I absolutely do not. I've never done it by myself. I've always had somebody stop and help.
But you carry it.
But I carry it. I think, as long as you have it, one, the flat energy will not come to you if you have the gear. And then two, somebody's always willing to help in Portland.
If I'm remembering correctly, you had a video where someone had like 2 flats in one 1 minute video. Was crazy.
Oh, yeah. My husband, I think, got 3 in one day, and he had to take a walk.
Yeah, I remember.
We had to separate ourselves. And again, we didn't have any tools. He just walked to another bike shop each time it happened.
Yeah. I would also just throw in water.
Yes, that's fair. To hydrate, yes.
And some SPF.
Yes. Sunscreen is so important.
For sure. So let's talk about some summer bike adventures. What if you just wanted to keep it within city limits? Like, what would you recommend?
Something I love to do in the summer and in the fall is go to the Bluffs, which it feels like a speakeasy of a park. One, because the name is not the name of the park. And it kind of just happens out of nowhere on this street. And so if you're not familiar, this is the Skidmore Bluffs, the Mox Crest Park. And there's no parking on the 2 streets that, lead up to the park. So they really want you to kind of walk in or bike in. And a ton of people bike there and just lay their bikes in the park. And it feels very cool when you approach the park and you see how many Portlanders are just sitting there. A couple of routes you can get there. Skidmore is a fine route. There's a bike lane and it's, a straight shot. But there is the Failing Street Bridge, which is kind of a dedicated pedestrian bike-only bridge over I-5, which is kind of fun. And it's just kind of a little pocket of Portland that you can only get to from one side because it is, exposed to the river on the other sides.
What's another, within the city limits, what's another route that you would recommend? I love the Bluffs, by the way, for like a little sunset picnic.
Oh, yeah. Pack your little picnic, put it in your little basket. It's perfect. Another thing I love to do in the summer, which some people feel a type of way about, but I love to bike down to the Duckworth docks and do a little jump in. Again, somewhere you can't really drive to. It's right on the East Bank Esplanade, so it is curated for bikers, which is really awesome. And just to take a little dip or just to be near the water, I feel like the temperature really drops down quite a lot. And then you can just relax and enjoy the sunset as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think on Wednesdays specifically, the Human Access Project has events going on at Duckworth.
Yeah, there's some fancy name for it. It definitely feels like Portland's hottest club is the Duckworth Dock on Wednesday evening. That's the vibe I get when you pull up on your bike.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about some bike adventures that are near town. I know Julie wrote something about downtown of St. John's and back. Is that
like edge of city?
Oh, edge. So is the downtown of St. John's, is that far?
Yeah. Claudia, it's 9 miles one way.
Well, let's pack our bags. We're going to St. John's. All right.
We can add St. John's. We'll add St. John's.
Oh, you know what? Portland did add St. John's. It is part of Portland.
I feel like St. John's, if you're coming from downtown or from the east side, it is quite far by bike to get from the east side, to be fair. But there is a lovely route. If you are heading north, there is a couplet, Vancouver, Williams, tons of places to stop and enjoy. And then you can continue until you get to Willamette Boulevard. And if you haven't biked on Willamette Boulevard in North Portland, it is so beautiful. It's really pretty to just like be along the bluffs on your bike. And then it gets a little car-centric, I would say, but you're still kind of really reaching around the bluffs, which is really pretty on bike. And then the best thing about Willamette Boulevard is it drops you right underneath the St. John's Bridge. So there's no kind of wrong turns you can possibly take. It drops you off right there. I think the other interesting, fun thing that we like to do is I feel like going home, if you're going, back into downtown from St. John's on Willamette Boulevard in the dark, doesn't necessarily feel as approachable, in my opinion. And if you're willing and you have a guide who has maybe done this before, it's really fun to go in a group and bike back from St. John's into kind of inner North Portland or even east side using just greenways. And it's really kind of quieter, no big car kind of intersections. And the one thing is, the cut that divides St. John's from North Portland, the railroad, you would cross at Lombard instead of Willamette.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to take a little meandering route, it's really beautiful to just enjoy neighborhoods.
I've taken those greenways. They're really nice.
They're really nice, yeah.
All right. So what's another near town bike adventure?
I think a really fun, underrepresented bike adventure is to go south. And a lot of people take, the Springwater corridor that goes south and then shoots you out east and you end in Boring, Oregon. And my unpopular opinion is that the Springwater is pretty boring. In fact, it is not shady in most of the areas and it's hot in the summer. It's really warm. But if you continue Springwater when it turns on 17th in Selwood, there's a little intersection. And if you take a right, there's a sign that says trolley trail. And if you take the trolley trail south, it's also a dedicated two-way bike path, walk path, and it is really beautiful. And there's a couple little inclines, elevations. It feels more shady, but again, it's separated, so you aren't with drivers and vehicles, which is always a win. And if you start in downtown and do Springwater Trolley Trail all the way to Gladstone, which Gladstone doesn't get a lot of love, but Gladstone, there is a park, the High Rock Park, which is beautiful, and the trail drops you off right there. There's bathrooms, running water, and there's also kind of this rock area where you can jump in the Clackamas River, which is also awesome.
Wow.
On a hot day after biking. It's about 14 miles one way, so if you're cranking it, it's an hour, and then you get to jump in the river, and it's a huge win.
Yeah. I just want you to know that St. John's is like way less than an hour to get to. It's like 30, maybe 30, 25 if you're booking it.
You're a fast biker.
Oh, really? Okay. I love knowing there's an option to ride bikes to the Clackamas. I love the Clackamas.
Totally.
I feel like it's an underrated river.
I agree. And it does feel like, in my head, the Clackamas is somewhere I'd have to drive to. And this Gladstone, where, the river is meeting up with the Willamette, it's kind of the only little part that's really approachable by bike, which is really cool. And if you feel some type of way about the Willamette River, you can have the Clackamas and feel a different way about that.
Yeah. Springwater to Trolley Trail to the High Rock Park at Gladstone. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And then I've also stopped on my way back at Oaks Park, not for any rides or thrills, but for ice cream, because you can just roll up on your bike and get a little cold dessert, which is a huge win.
See, this is what I'm talking about, Jenna. The reason I love watching your stuff is because you really make it not only approachable, but I'm just like, now I want to do that because I want to go there and eat.
Yes.
It's like a bit of a little tour.
You have to reel them in.
Okay, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, more summer bike trips for you to try out. This one I'm pretty excited about because I know it ends in a really awesome, drive-thru, I guess?
I think it's a drive-thru, yeah.
Drive-thru, right?
The most glamorous drive-thru, yeah.
Yes.
So this adventure takes you far east. And if you're coming from anywhere north, kind of northeast Portland, my preferred route is to go straight north until you get to Marine Drive, which is also a lovely place to bike. It takes you along the Columbia River, mostly a separated path, which is really beautiful. My favorite thing about biking on Marine Drive is getting to see planes land and take off. So many photos of planes above me as I'm biking, and that is just worth the bike ride in itself. But if you continue on Marine Drive, it drops you right off into downtown Troutdale. And if you take a couple turns, you end up at Sugar Pine.
Yes.
A very fancy drive-thru, which is so delicious. They have incredible food and soft serve ice cream. And that is about a 15, 18-mile bike ride, but it is flat, which is a win.
Nice. So it's Marine Drive to Troutdale to Sugar Pine?
Yes.
I don't know why. Julie wrote Edgefield, but that doesn't make sense.
Yes. No, so Edgefield is actually really close.
Shut up.
Edgefield is really close.
Okay, for one, I don't know where Edgefield is.
Oh.
I didn't know it was by Troutdale.
Yeah, another destination east is Edgefield, which is McMenamin's kind of biggest, boldest hotel, concert venue, bar situation. There's multiple pages on the McMenamin's passport, so you know it's legit. But it is a terrible place to get out to for a concert. So much traffic. There's just a two-way street going in. Parking is on a field. And it takes an hour plus to get out of this parking lot. So one year we decided we wanted to see a concert and we were going to bike to Edgefield instead. And it is the same kind of 18 miles. We brought our gear, we brought snacks and water, we biked to Edgefield. There is a really nice bike corral just behind the hotel. And as we were parking our bikes, we realized there was about 20 to 30 bikes back there doing the same thing as us, which was really cool. So people do it. And on our way out, we're unlocking our bikes after the concert. And there was a group of people going back to Portland, and they offered, for us to join them so we could do a group ride, which is definitely more safe at night, which was really sweet and tons of community. And I think it's a cool way to get out to Edgefield and enjoy that without having to sit in your car and idle while you get out of a parking lot.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought that you would spend the night.
We have spent the night. The hardest thing about Edgefield is the hotel books up super quick. People want to stay there and walk to the concert, which is totally reasonable. We tried to do that, could not get a spot, but we did get a spot at the Motel 6 in downtown Troutdale, which is less than a mile away.
Oh, nice.
So we went into our little Motel 6, brought our bikes in. They had a little pool, so we jumped in the little pool next to the Dairy Queen.
Oh.
There's like a giant blizzard behind us. And then we biked over to Edgefield, and it was excellent. You're just passing a huge line of cars, and that is such a thrill as a biker.
It really is so wonderful. I love yelling, "Ha ha, suckers!" Even though that will probably be me the next time around.
Absolutely, without a doubt, we will be a part of the traffic at some other point. But in that moment, we are winning.
It's true. Okay, now what about a more ambitious out-of-town adventure? So we're talking this would mean spending the night somewhere?
This is what we're proposing. And this is perhaps the most adventurous thing I've done from my house. And our goal was we do not have a car and we wanted to go camping and we wanted to leave from our house with our bikes. And so the goal was if you bike and get to the Blue Line Max, the Max takes you all the way out west. And if you ride the Max all the way west, it drops you off and you are within a 12-mile bike ride to the Banks Vernonia Trail,
Ooh.
which is a very beautiful rails to trails route, which is shady, small elevation because, it used to be a rail line. And at the center of the trail, there's camping spots, which is really awesome. And a lot of people drive there. That's totally okay. But they reserve a certain number of bike and hike in spots for people who are biking in and hiking in.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you don't have to reserve a spot. You get water, showers, bathrooms, and then a little campsite. It was really, really something that showed us, we can carry our gear, we can ride our bikes, we could go camp, and it would be a really achievable thing. And it, feels ambitious and wild, but it was really awesome.
That is really cool. I have like a low-key dream of riding to the coast.
Ooh.
But I mean, then I'd have to live there because I'm not riding back.
It's far.
Go there, buy a house, and then just stay there.
I think that's the most reasonable thing.
Right?
Alternatively, we have taken our bikes on the Point bus. You can check your bike for $10 on the bus, and the bus takes you straight to the coast. And so we were able to go to Seaside, and then we biked up to Astoria, and it was really achievable once you're out there.
Wait, but you didn't bike on the 101, right? Because that's scary.
There's a couple sections you do have to, but then you can hop over and you can bike, in Gearhart on more kind of residential streets.
Okay. I want there to be more greenways out in the coast. That would just be sick.
There's some people working on it.
Really?
Yeah, not necessarily greenways, but there's some sort of Cumber old rail lines to trails, like rails to trails, but for the coast.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's one that you didn't talk about, but
Tell me.
I've seen you do. When you went to Vancouver, BC on your bikes, I mean, there was a train involved.
Yes.
But that was like so inspiring. When I saw that, I was like, this is so badass. And not only that, but I love exploring new cities, especially something as Vancouver, BC, so bikeable.
It's so bikeable.
When I saw you do that, I was like, that's the perfect way to experience that city.
I fully believe going to a city with your own bike is the best way to see a city. And we've done it in Eugene, we've done it in Seattle, Vancouver, and Oakland, San Francisco. And so if you take the train, you can get to these places with your bike in a really affordable way, which is so cool.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, any other resources you want to share?
Yes, I love to shout out portlandbikemap.org. I think it can be a little clunky, but it has a great key of what type of bike lanes and bike facilities you're going to encounter on these streets. And it also has all of the bike greenways. So if I'm trying to get somewhere in Southeast Portland, I can look up where these major greenways are, how they connect, and then I can just go off on my bike. Google Maps doesn't always give you the best greenway option. And so I definitely recommend looking at Portland Bike Map. Yeah, writing down the major streets, and then you can go from there. I also love to use Street View on Google Maps. If there's kind of a street that it's putting me onto or a connection I'm unsure about, I'll just go to the Street View and see what it looks like. And I think once I see what's going to be there, I feel way more confident to navigate on bike. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it before. I think it'd be a little more anxious. So it relieves my anxiety and makes it all better.
I had just a logistical question. What do you use to look at these maps while you're riding your bike? I mean, I'm assuming your phone, but how are you biking and riding at the same time? Are there do you have any attachments that you're like, oh, these are the ones to use?
Yes, I have a Peak Design phone mount, and it is it's a 3M sticker that goes on your phone case, and then there's a small mount that goes on your handlebars, and it clicks in, and it is a magnet. Oh. So it's really easy to drop your phone on the magnet, and then it attaches really quickly. But I usually try to look up the route beforehand and plan out the streets well before, and then maybe jog them down on a little note or something. But I like to be focused on the street and my surroundings more than on my phone, just because it can be scary out there on a bike.
For sure. Jenna, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. We've been wanting to have you on for a while now, so thank you for taking the time. Especially, I'm
Yeah.
sure you're so busy right now.
No, I appreciate it. It's nice to talk to somebody not about my baby. So, as much as I love him.
And you don't look sleep deprived, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Somebody did tell me last week, you look tired, but happy. And I said, that's kind of rude.
You're like, still rude.
Still rude.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.